Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar from Stockholm University in Sweden. My name is Madeleine Henriksgaard and I work at the Student Services at Stockholm University. And with me, I can let my colleagues just introduce themselves. Tina, would you like to say hello?
Yes, of course. My name is Tina Larsson and I work together with Madeleine here at Stockholm University. Very nice to meet you guys.
And Ahmed.
And I'm Ahmet Can Kızılcan, a student here in Stockholm Business School, having the program of Masters in Management, Organization and Society.
Yes, nice to meet you online, everyone. And this will be a short webinar in 5 parts. We will talk about Sweden and Stockholm, Stockholm University, study with us, costs, fees and scholarships, and then a bit about welcoming international students. And there we will also have Ahmed that will talk about his experience as an international student from Turkey. And first and foremost, where is Sweden? As you can see, it's in the Northern Europe, and Stockholm University is in the capital of Sweden, Stockholm. And it is an open, equal and innovative and sustainable country, Sweden. And in 2019, on the Global Innovation Index, we were one of the world's most innovative nations. So we actually came second, which we're very happy about. And we're known for openness and equality, and they're actually very important concept here in Sweden. And we're very pleased about that we have a very high level of global press freedom. We rank very high there too. And Sweden is a secular country. Most religions are represented here and of course welcome too. And we speak English. You might notice when you are here that we have a high level of English, and we actually came first as an English proficiency index in 2019. So you might see that when you are here, it might actually be hard to learn Swedish because everyone speaks English so well. And here is a picture of Sweden, and you will see quite a few companies such as IKEA, Skype, H&M, Spotify, and these are all companies from Sweden. So even if we are quite a small country, we actually only have 10 million inhabitants, so not that many people. We actually have a lot of companies, the really big international companies coming from here, and a lot of them are based in Stockholm. And this is a photo from the main city center in Stockholm, where you can see that it's a lot of water. The city center is actually built on just islands, so you will have a lot of bridges to cross when you explore the city. And Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, is known as a business center. It's actually one of the most innovative cities in the world, and it's known for its tech and startup hub, and our computer system sciences, which is based just outside of the Stockholm city center, is actually known as the Silicon Valley of Sweden, and where a lot of companies and the universities are located together. And Stockholm is also known as a cultural center. We have a lot of cinemas, museums and galleries, and if you like to go to sport events or concerts. And it's a city that welcomes everyone. It's known for diversity and tolerance, and we're very progressive. And Stockholm is also, as I said, a clean and green city. We have a lot of forests and national parks. It's actually never further than 300 meters to a green area when you're in the city center. And 1/3 of the city is actually made up of green areas. The Stockholm University is actually located in a city national park too. You have over 40 open air gyms, so that means that you can train outside, and they are all for free to use. The city center is built on 14 islands, and we're actually also very known for our clean air. We have the best air quality in the European capitals, and we also have very good tap water. Here, everyone drinks the water from the tap, so you don't actually buy a bottle of water, rather you drink it from the tap. And Stockholm University, a little bit about ranking. So last year, the rankings were from the Shanghai Shantung ranking. We came 73, and Times Higher Education 175, and the QS World University ranking we were 191. So on all lists, we are on the top 200 of any ranking lists, which we are very happy about. And a little bit about the organization. So we have 4 faculties: humanities, law, sciences, and social sciences. And between those 4 faculties, we actually have 56 departments and centers. So it's a very big and large areas of expertise that we have. And between those departments, we have 34,000 students in total, where approximately 10% are international students. So whichever program you will study, you will most likely have a lot of both international students and Swedish students in your classroom. And here are 4 photos from campus. The top 2 ones are from the main campus, which is called Frescati. And this is where Tina and I are located. And you will see that it's a lake in the back there, and you see all the green areas all around it. And where the lake is, that's actually where Kräftriket is located, the bottom right photo. And this is where the business school and mathematics are based. So where Ahmed sits, it's in Kräftriket, a very beautiful building. And we have the bottom left photo, that's Kista Science City, and that's where computer system sciences sits. And with that, I'd like to hand over to my colleague Tina.
Yes, so let's speak a little bit about what you can study at Stockholm University. And as Madeleine mentioned, we have 4 faculties. So we don't have medicine and we don't have engineering, but we basically have everything else. So these are some examples of the programs that you could study when you study with us. So we can have a look at the next slide. And there are many programs for those who want to have a better understanding of the world we live in. And there are many different ways to understand the world. You can understand it by to have a look at different programs, different parts of the world. For example, Middle Eastern. You might want to have the political overview. You might want to look at the demography, or look at the world from a geological perspective. We don't have a marketing department, but we have a business department with marketing programs. So we do have programs in that area. We can have a look at the next slide. And maybe you don't want to understand this world, but you want to have a look at new ones. Then we also have programs such as astronomy, physics, and design for creative and immersive technology, if you want to have a look at artificial intelligence, for example. And we also have programs for those who want to follow in the footsteps of our Nobel laureates. And we have 4 Nobel laureates, and we have 5 programs in chemistry. So 4 chemistry Nobel laureates and 5 chemistry programs. And we have a program in economics. We have the prize in economics in the memory of Alfred Nobel here. And we also have a program in literature. And Stockholm University, but if you're here on the campus, then you can actually see the place where they decide. It's a very beautiful building where they decide who's going to get the Nobel Prize in physics and chemistry. And we also have many professors and academics at Stockholm University who form part of the Nobel Committee. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. Well, everyone speaks about sustainability, and there's a reason for that. So if you want to study how we can meet the needs of today without compromising future needs, then you can study sustainability from different perspectives, either environmentally or economically or socially. And there are many different programs with these aspects as well. So let's have a look at the next slide. And this is for those of you who studied something and now want to study something else. And I get a question about marketing, and marketing is one of those programs. So if you studied, whatever you studied in your bachelor, you can continue with that program. So there are programs, for example, in computer and system sciences and in business, but there are also some other programs that you could study regardless of background. So that's a chance to choose something new and or combine what you did with another area. Okay, next slide. And if you want to study a bachelor's programs, then we have quite a few programs. So we have 75 master's programs in English, but we only have 3 bachelor's programs in English. So it's International Business and Politics, and then we have 2 programs in Latin American Studies, where you can either specialize in Portuguese or in Spanish. So next slide. So what is it like to study at Stockholm University? Well, there are some things that are different. On your schedule, you will have a mix of lectures, seminars, fieldwork, laboratory work, individual studies. And some students think that there are more group work projects than they're used to. And we think that's an excellent preparation for work life. And especially if you go in one of these programs, you have a lot of international students, and then you will get to know how to work with students from many different countries. And that's a very good skill to have later on in life. And something that's also new for many students is that it's common to study the courses one at a time. And because at many universities around the world, you study the courses in a parallel, and then you have some sort of mid-exam and you have a final exam for all the courses. But at Stockholm University, it's common to study a course for 5 weeks and then have some form of examination. And then you're done with that course and you have those credits and you move on to the next course. So you focus a lot on your subjects. And it's also a very informal and non-hierarchical classroom at Stockholm University. And this is, of course, because in Sweden we have a very non-hierarchical society. So this is something that you will also see in the classroom. If I would be a professor, which I'm not, but then you wouldn't say Miss Larsson, but you would call me Tina. So it's not very formal here. And you will also be encouraged to contribute with your ideas and to speak up and say different things that you think about the topics that you discuss. Okay, next slide. Well, the academic year, it runs from September to mid-January, and then the spring semester immediately starts from mid-January to June. But at most departments, there's a teaching break over Christmas. So it's normally possible to go visit friends or family during that period of time if one wants to. And one semester is 20 weeks, and you study 1.5 credits per week, so 30 credits per semester. And most of our master's programs are 2 years, and the bachelor's programs are 3 years. So they are comparable with the 4-year programs of some other countries, like, for example, Spain. In the Bologna reform, Sweden chose a 3-year structure instead of a 4 years. So there are just differences on bachelor's level on the level of courses that can be included, but they are equivalent, the two. Okay, next slide. Citizens outside of the European Union needs to pay tuition fees, and citizens that form part of the European Union are exempted from tuition fees. Next slide. And so citizens from Turkey need to pay application and tuition fees, and the application fee is paid to university admissions when one apply. And then you can apply for 4 master's programs in one application, paying 1 fee. And the tuition fee is something that you pay to the university where you study. And the price of the program, it varies between the different programs. But the most common price for programs within humanities, social sciences, and law is around 90,000 Swedish crowns. Oh, well, it's exactly 90,000 Swedish crowns for most of them. And around 65,500 Turkish lira. It was a very exact price there. And then within sciences, it's 140,000 normally. And then a few programs will have higher prices. For example, our combined program with Karolinska and some other programs. Next slide. So an average monthly budget. This is an indication. And of course, how much you will spend will depend a lot on your lifestyle. And it will also depend a lot on where you find accommodation. And this price is if you would rent a room in a shared apartment with another student or something like that. This would be the most common pricing. And so it's around 6,600 Turkish lira that you should count on having per month when you are in Sweden. Next slide. Maybe you could just... Yeah. So you're allowed to work during your studies, but we really want to be very honest with that it's difficult to find a part-time job in Sweden if you don't speak Swedish. And the reason why we really want to say this is because if you count on having an extra job to get by and then you don't find one, then you find yourself in a bad situation. And we don't want that to happen. So please budget according to the last slide for your time in Sweden. And if you do find an extra job, that's a bonus. And there are recommended websites for part-time jobs, such as My Career, Academic Work, and Student Consulting. And if you want to start your own company, you can also use the site verksam.se that gathers the agencies that you need to be in contact with when starting a company. And after finishing your degree, you're allowed to stay for 12 months to look for a job or to start a company in Sweden. Okay, next slide. So there was okay, can we work while studying? Yeah, I just answered, so that's perfect. Let's see, is there any full scholarship or half scholarship? Okay, so that's what I'm going to speak about right now. So Stockholm University has scholarships, and they only cover the tuition fee, so they don't cover the living costs. And of course, since they only cover the tuition fee, you can only apply for them if you are required to pay tuition fees. And they are divided, like when they decide on who is going to be awarded the scholarship, they will only look at academic merits, so no other factors. And it is the faculties that decide who gets it. And previous years, it's been about 1 in 10 among the tuition fee paying students that receive this scholarship. And you apply for this scholarship after being admitted, so it's nothing that you need to do before you apply. But if you have Stockholm University as priority number 1 in your application, then you will be prioritized over the students who didn't have Stockholm University as number 1. So since many of the accepted students do have Stockholm University as number 1, it is often not possible to receive this if you didn't prioritize that way. Okay. Next slide. There we go. And the Swedish Institute is a government agency in Sweden that also have scholarships that you can check if you can apply for. And they have a scholarship that's called Swedish Institute Scholarships for the Western Balkans and Turkey for master's studies. So have a look at if you can apply for that one as well, because these scholarships, they do cover tuition fees and living costs. And they are very competitive, but of course, if you fulfill all the requirements, you should, of course, apply. Do not be intimidated by that. Okay, thank you, Madeleine.
Okay, thank you, Tina. And I forgot to say in the beginning, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask us any questions, because we're here for you guys. And we will answer all questions in the end. We might answer a few along the way, but in general, we will answer them towards the end. So please feel free to write your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. So the last part is about welcoming international students. So what happens when you have been admitted to the university? And first and foremost, we will have a similar event like today. We will have a webinar for all admitted students and go through more practical matters of how you are planning to move to Sweden, your studies at Stockholm University, accommodation, and so on. And when you arrive in Sweden, you will be picked up by our bus at Arlanda Airport and take you to the university. And there we will meet you and help you to get settled as it's usually a 2-day service. So hopefully you will be able to arrive during those 2 days. And you will have welcome activities during the first 1 or 2 weeks of the 1 week before the semester starts and 1 week during the semester usually. And we have an orientation day, which is usually very popular and a really good day together. and it's usually the week before the semester starts. So if you want to check already now what's happening this year, you can check on the su.se/welcome activities. And there are a lot of other activities too, such as both the student union and us from the student services organize. And here you have a photo from a very popular city hall reception that the mayor of Stockholm organized, and that's for all international students in Stockholm. So it's not just Stockholm University. And you also will have barbecues and movie nights, IKEA bus tour, and different type of informal and formal events. That's usually a really good time to meet other international as well as national Swedish students too. And if you want to learn a bit of Swedish, first and foremost, you might want to learn a very important word, which is hej. That means hello. And goodbye is hej då. So your first two words is hej and hej då. So now you can speak a little bit of Swedish. And if you want to learn a little bit more already now, you can actually check out our free online courses. That's at learningswedish.se. And when you arrive in Sweden during the orientation, you will receive information about Swedish classes, and that's usually in the afternoon and evenings. And it's 6 different levels. So depending on if you already know a little bit of Swedish from before, they are really good and recommended, especially if you are, what Tina was saying, if you want to stay and work in Sweden, it's a very good thing to try and learn Swedish as early as possible. And we will really hope that you will choose Stockholm University and make Stockholm part of your future. This is another photo of our city, of the main city center. And that's part of at the end of the formal presentation. And I hope that we will continue with Ahmed's presentation, one of our students. Ahmed, can I hand over to you for the next couple of slides?
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, most of what I was going to say has already been discussed by Madeleine and Tina. But I will just, so I decided I will just briefly show you how my experiences were with photos. So we can move to the next slide. So yes, there are 3 campuses, or actually 2, but Craft Cricket is connected like very close to Frescati. Frescati is the main campus, and if you are going to apply for computer sciences and all other related programs, it's going to be in the other campus, Kista, which is in north. So yes, as mentioned previously, Stockholm University, at least what I've experienced, the opinions really do matter, and they really, the lecturers really want you to be very active in lessons. So that's a nice experience to have when you want to enjoy the fullest of the programs. And also teamwork is highly valued as well. You'll have lots of presentations, lots of different research, at least on the master's level, that is. You'll definitely, when you graduate, you'll definitely have a lot of to say for teamwork when you are applying for jobs. Yeah, and we can move to the next slide. And by the way, if you have any questions directed towards me, please let me know. I'll also try to answer them. So life in Stockholm. As you can see from the first one, Stockholm is a bit colder than Istanbul. I come from Istanbul. There are even colder places in Turkey a bit, but Stockholm is, it's still, this year was quite doable. And the next photo is my friends doing kiting, but on a frozen lake. So, and the other photos are from this one it represents fika. So it's basically, it can be as simple as just drinking a cup of coffee with your friends during a pause break, or just it represents social interaction. Even though some may say that Swedes are a bit, or Scandinavians in general, are a bit individualistic and yeah, they tend to have their own personal space. Social interaction is still quite vivid and also encouraged. And yeah, we can move to the next slide. Oh yeah, and I also want to mention, so green and blue. Yes, Stockholm is really green and blue, but it also depends on the seasons. Like when it's winter, it can get very dark. It goes dark, I think, around 3 p.m. But there are still a lot of things that you can do, like different hobbies. So what I had before coming to Sweden was singing. So I wanted to continue singing. So I was singing in choirs, and here I joined 2 choirs. So if it's really dark outside, like in December, there are numerous different concerts to go to or participate in, if you like. So in Sweden, people really love to celebrate a lot. There are numerous different occasions to celebrate. So this photo is from Lucia. So Lucia is a day that is celebrated, and lots of the songs are sung in churches and such. So I joined that too. And in the next pictures, you can see, so I joined another choir, which is Man's Choir. They participated in the Eurovision version of, choir version of Eurovision. Yeah. And also, what else? The other hobbies. Yeah. Now the weather is very nice. You can go out kayaking in the rivers. There are lots of different things to do. So there's vibrant music scene and genres for everyone to enjoy. Yeah, and the great opportunities to pick up new things, make friends, enjoy the nature. Thank you.
Can I ask you before you stop talking if there is anything in particular that people from Turkey might think is different in Sweden? Is there any specific things that you might think of?
Specific things. Okay, yeah. The first thing that came to my mind is, I come from Istanbul, and Istanbul is very highly populated. So, and the lack of people was the most apparent thing. It was still, it's still a city. It's still a big city, but maybe not for people from Istanbul. And I felt like, I'm enjoying this more because it's also very, very connected with green nature. I felt like, it's uplifting. You don't really think about it when you come here and spend some time afterwards, but it's really uplifting to be very close to nature. So I'm still living, you can say like the inner city, I suppose, in a place called Solna. And right next to, just 200 meters from my place, there's a foresty area, which I can just go out hiking. So it's quite nice.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much for your presentation, Ahmed. And you will stay with us too for questions. And our last slide, we'd just like to thank you for listening to us. And if you have any questions, we have an email address that's study@su.se. And here are 3 links too that could be good for you to have a look at. First one is su.se/study. And there you will have all information about how you apply, which programs you can apply for, courses and programs, and a question and answer section. So that's a very good website to have a look at. And if you want to find out a little bit more about Sweden, you can look at the studyinSweden.se website. And you also have a specific one for more information about Stockholm. That's studyinstockholm.se. So have a look at those sites. And now we have about 15 minutes left where we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So please feel free to write in the chat. And if you have them for us, me and Tina, or for Ahmed, please feel free to ask any of us anything. So thank you again. Tina, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, I think I have answered most of them, but please write again if not. Details of PhD program. Well, PhD is not centrally administered at Stockholm University, meaning that we don't have a central admission, but every one of our departments, they have their own admissions to PhD programs. So what the requirements are will depend from position to position and depend on the different departments. So I will insert. The best thing to do actually is to visit the website of the departments, because every department has their own research tab, and there you will be able to see what research is carried out by that department, and if they, for example, put the positions available on the website when there's funding, or if they do have specific dates each year, and what that department's requirements are. Let's see. Okay, if you have more questions, then please write them. I certainly. Oh, sorry. Yes, please say.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I saw that there's like a minimum GPA requirements. Maybe I can talk about, so since I'm studying in the business school, so for that you need to also do GMAT, at least for the Management Organization and Society program. And if you have any questions regarding, is there any minimum requirement for GMAT too? And I've asked that, and yeah, to my knowledge, there is no limitation, like minimum requirements, but it depends on the applicants. So if, it depends on how the applicants are, and probably it's determined by the applicants' own GMAT results. And also probably the GPA is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, GPA is that we don't really use that. I understand the question, because in many other countries, they can say, for example, okay, we require a GPA of, and they will say a number, and then it will be able to tell you whether you will be admitted or not. But we don't have that sort of admissions process here. So instead, the different departments will decide for their programs how they choose between applicants. And as you just heard, for the business programs, this will be based on GMAT, the results on the GMAT tests. And if there are places available after that, it will be the number of higher education credits that they will look at. And that's something that's used on various departments, the number of higher education credits. It could also be quantity and quality of previous studies. It can be a motivation letter. So there are some different things. So look at the program that you're interested in and see what it says on selection. And that's how you will know what to submit and how do we choose between the applicants. Let's see, when does admission begin? I just put a link with the dates, but in the middle of October, you will be able to apply for the autumn 2021, and the deadline will be the 15th of January. So there's a lot of time to change your mind and change your mind again and search for some more information, and then finally decide, and then rank your different alternatives, and then submit everything on time. So that's good.
And we could maybe mention there too that when you apply at university admissions, that's a Swedish-wide system. We all use the same website actually, but also you can apply for 4 master's programs at the same time. So if you are looking at 4 programs at Stockholm University, just make sure that you rank them in the right order, that you have the first one first. And just a good tip there.
Yeah, because you can only be admitted for one, so otherwise you will be terribly disappointed when the other 3 are deleted if you are admitted to number 1. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very similar to ÖSS yerleştirme.
That's perfect. Then you know. So there's a question: is there any course of English before PhD? And there is no general course like that's offered for everyone who's going to do a PhD or anything like that. I don't know if that answers the question. And if you have any questions regarding student life, then please ask them as well, now that we have someone who knows what it's like.
Yes. And Ahmed, you've been in Sweden for 1 year now, right? Or when did you arrive?
It's still not 1 year, but I arrived in late August. Still here.
Yes. And will you be in Sweden now for the summer?
I mean, it depends on how
what happens
this
now.
whole
Yeah.
pandemic now. Yeah, but for the most
Because
part, I will be
that's
here.
a good thing to think of. When you select a master's program, you usually start in end of August and you finish in beginning of June. So then you actually have June, July, August off, and quite a lot of people travel in Sweden then, or visit friends or visit family, because the master's programs in general are 2 years, but there are a few that's 1 year.
Yeah. So there's a question. How do you manage your budget? Do you work? So what I have done is before coming here, I took 3 years in between of my bachelor's graduation. So after graduating, I've worked a bit, but I still had in mind to do a master's program. So I basically saved money for that. While I mentioned singing, like in the hobbies as singing, but I actually kind of do it as a semi-professional setting. So I've taken like gigs here to supplement my income. But yeah, for the most part, most of my budget still comes from the saved money that I had. Yeah.
Okay, so now no more questions right now. Should we write the email again where they can send questions afterwards, maybe?
They should see that on the PowerPoint, but yeah, maybe you want to type it in the chat too. And yeah, if we don't have any more questions, we might say thank you again, and hope to see you in Stockholm soon. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for this great webinar. I think that everyone asked their questions and they get their answers. But if there are more questions, you already left your email address on the chat box, so people can contact you for more questions and for more answers. Thanks again. Anything else you want to add before we close this?
Well, we'll see you in Sweden eventually. To meet in person.
Yeah, if you decide to apply and then get admitted, then we can discuss that further.
Yes.
How the things are here. Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
That's right. We can have a Swedish fika, what Ahmed is talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be also great to see you all in Istanbul after all this coronavirus thing goes away.
Yes, thank you. We look forward to that too.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.